Today's presser was quite the doozy, as the number one question amongst the media and amongst the Vikings fan base is who's going to play quarterback against the Eagles in week 7 coming off the bye? Is it going to be Carson Wentz, or will we finally see the return of JJ McCarthy? Well, Judd Zolgad of Score North asked KOC that very question.
Where do things stand as far as your starting QB for Sunday, Kevin?
They stand in the same place they did Monday when I answered that question.
So clearly KOC was a bit agitated with having that question asked to him. And I can understand why. Because first off, for these players and coaches, part of their contractual requirements are to fulfill their media requirements. And I would imagine that half the time, maybe even more than half the time, I'm willing to bet that they don't even want to be there at the podium in the first place. But it's part of my job. I got to do it. So be it. But also, this is going to be a recurring question until we finally see the answer to that question being, who's going to be the Vikings starting quarterback come Sunday against the Eagles? I also do not blame Judd Zolgad for asking the question in the first place because, first off, Judd Zolgad, I've said this before, this man is great at his job. If he wanted to be on a big network, on TV somewhere, he would absolutely crush it. I don't blame Judd for asking that question because he's part of the media. He is the media covering the Vikings. And his job is to find out information, find out answers to the questions that the fan base has. This is the biggest question that the fan base has right now. Who's going to be the starting quarterback for the Vikings against the Eagles on Sunday? He asked the question, even though he knew good and well that KOC wouldn't answer that question. But that's his job. He's going to try and do it and try to pry to get an answer. And you can only do so much. They either answer it or they don't. JJ McCarthy was asked about the status of his health, dealing with his ankle injury. And he said the ankle's getting there. I wouldn't say it's 100%. And he expounded more on that.
Me, selfishly, I'm going to play if it was, off or not. But, we got to be smart here and understand, there's a lot of things that go into place. And, at the end of the day, I'm just going to do what I'm told and try to get better as fast as possible.
So the ankle is getting there, but I wouldn't say it's 100%. We have to be smart about this. I'm going to do whatever the coaches say. By all of this information, and by the way, Carson Wentz was a full participant today, even with dealing with the non-throwing shoulder injury. In fact, going down the injury report, Blake Cashman, not only has his window been opened, but he was a full participant in practice today. That's crazy. So naturally one would expect for Blake Cashman to play this upcoming Sunday. That's going to be a game changer. Him and Eric Wilson, do not put Ivan Pace out there again. Not as a starter. No siree, Bob. But I'm just going to make a safe assumption here and say that Carson Wentz will start against the Eagles. We have to be smart. Fair enough. We're going to dig into this a bit more. But first, daily fantasy users, sign up for Sleeper and get a free $20 entry. Also, if you make a deposit, you will get a 100% match up to $100. Terms and conditions do apply. Use the promo code RANDY. Check out Sleeper today. And for McCarthy, he was a limited participant in practice today. But so far, the McCarthy discourse has been, he stinks versus that's too harsh. He needs more reps to see how good he can possibly be. You can't get better without having reps in the first place. Okay. There's also a third element here that hasn't been talked about enough, I don't think, in the Vikings world, is the element of time. Time you can't outrun. We are now we're pushing a year and a half of this man's professional career, seeing just 2 games out of him so far. I'm past the is he good or not, or is he going to be good, or is he not going to be good eventually? I'm past that. My number one concern right now is durability always going to be an issue for him? This kind of reminds me, I know it's a bit apples to oranges, but I think this was last year, right? Or the year before last. I can't exactly remember. But Florida State, before the college football playoff committee made their selections for the playoffs, Florida State, they finished the season undefeated, but they lost their starting quarterback, Jordan Travis. And because of that, the college football committee basically was like, we want to put the best players out there. Jordan Travis, you don't have your star quarterback, so we're going to go ahead and dismiss you. And I think in the place of Florida State that finished undefeated, I believe Alabama took that spot, if I'm not mistaken. If I am mistaken, please let me know in the comments section below. But he got hurt and came into the league hurt and I don't think he played a down of football at all. In fact, he just retired from the league. Apples to oranges, yes, because at least JJ McCarthy has played some games where Travis hasn't played any professional games at all. But the durability issue, we are pushing a year and a half where we're like, who is this guy? What do we have as far as a base to assess him as a professional quarterback? We don't have anything. We have one fantastic quarter, and the other 7 quarters look like shite. It is very important that once JJ McCarthy is deemed ready to go, that he plays for an extended period of time, preferably for the rest of the season. You got to knock the injury monkey bug off of your back ASAP. Because until you can conquer that monkey off your back, the rest of the stuff doesn't even matter. Get healthy. Hopefully he can be durable. That, to me, is the main concern. I feel like Carson Wentz is going to start. He was a full participant today, but stranger things have happened. Maybe McCarthy ends up playing on Sunday, maybe not. But whenever he comes back, he needs to be back, and he needs to be back for good, at least for the rest of the season and most of the season for next year. We'll see you next time.